I had just finished my lecture in my Thursday afternoon class on economic theory when Anne walked up to the lectern. Anne is beautiful. Not runway model beautiful, but country girl pretty. She always wears jeans and cowboy boots. Today she has on a pretty summer blouse that shows just a little cleavage. Her hair is light brown with just the right amount of blonde highlights. If I was not married, maybe. Know what I mean? "Dr. Jones, I saw your wife today." I look up into her steel gray eyes. "Where? In the mall?" "No. My partner and I have a house up at the lake. She likes to suntan on the deck while I fish." "You like to fish, doctor?" "Not really. But why do you think you saw my wife?" I asked. "Your vanity plate, DR Econ." I had taken Sue's car in this morning to be serviced. She was in my car. "Your wife has short blonde hair, right?" "Yes." "So where did you see her?" I asked. "She pulled up just as I was leaving this morning. She parked in the drive next door and went into the house." "Does she fish?" "No." "And do you know who owns that property?" I asked. "Of course. Tyrone Williams, the football player. You guys friends?" "No. He was a patient of my wife's a couple of months ago. She's a nurse. He was on her floor." I imagine Anne saw the distress on my face. As she walked towards the door, she stopped and said, "Doctor, you be careful. Tyrone is about 6'3" tall and weighs maybe 235. He plays middle linebacker on the local pro team, and this guy is mean. He was thrown out of 2 games last season for unnecessary roughness." I derived 2 things from that short conversation. First, Anne is a lesbian. I would have never guessed. Partner, she likes to suntan. No big deal. To each his own, I guess. The other thing is that my wife of 6 years is cheating. Again! Now I need to explain before you think I am one of those characters in some internet story who likes to watch or lets his wife run around while he sits at home with the kids. I am nothing like that. I met Sue the year she graduated from nursing school. I had just received my PhD in economics. Her dad was a big-time heart transplant surgeon and had made lots of money over the years. Sue had told him I was a doctor. When he found out that I was not a medical doctor, he was pissed. He demanded I sign a prenup. He was thinking I was after his money. Both Sue and I signed. I stuck our copy in a drawer where it stayed for the next couple of years. Sue got pregnant and had our baby girl during our first year of marriage. No problems. Dr. Hart, his vanity plate, helped us buy a nice house, and everything was going as we had planned. Then when Sue stopped breastfeeding, her pretty breasts pointed to the floor. She worked a deal out with a plastic surgeon at the hospital and had a boob job. I did ask about the costs. She told me not to worry, she had worked out a deal with the doctor. I asked what kind of deal. "Just something between medical professionals," was all I got for an answer. About a week after her boob job, I had to drive her to the hospital for her first post-op exam. When the nurse called her name, I got up to go with her. The nurse stopped me and said only Sue was allowed back with the doctor. Then Sue and she exchanged a smile. What the hell was that about? Okay, I sat down and waited. It seemed like it took a long time. When Sue finally came out, she was grinning, and this doctor was also grinning. When he saw me, he had this funny look on his face, like he knew something I didn't. In the car, I noticed that Sue had used a mouthwash. I asked about that. When he took off the bra and the bandages, he squeezed my breasts really hard. It surprised me and it hurt. I threw up in his sink from the pain. This mouthwash is standard in the hospital. It's under every sink. I thought, okay, I can believe that. When I got home, I ordered one of those DNA kits. I had my baby girl checked. I am the father. A few more times over the next 5 or 6 months, I smelled that same mouthwash on her breath. When I asked, it was always, "I had the spaghetti for lunch," or the tacos. I believed her. I mean, she didn't want to have bad breath when tending to her patients, right? I drove by the hospital parking lot on my lunch hour. Her car was always there. About 5 months later, she made a strange remark at supper. "I guess Dr. Bells, the plastic surgeon, is out of my life. He accepted a job with a clinic on the West Coast. He, his wife, and kids have moved. I did ask why she said he was out of her life, and she said that she just meant that if she had any problems with her implants, she would have to look for another surgeon. Yeah, right. Things cruised along fine for the next year or so. Now I did smell that mouthwash on her breath a few times. But what should I have done? I would look like a fool in divorce court complaining about my wife's mouthwash. If I was going to enforce the prenup, I had to have irrefutable proof that she was cheating. On our daughter's 3rd birthday, I went and picked up little Becky and drove over to the hospital. We were going to have a birthday celebration at Mickey D's, my daughter's favorite restaurant. There on the steps at the side entrance was Sue. There was another man standing close to her. Too close. It looked like they were having a deep conversation. I blew the horn and she turned and looked surprised to see me. She said something to this guy who looked to be Chinese, then ran to the car. When she got in, I asked her what that was all about. "Oh, that's just Feng. He's one of the students here. I gave him a bad grade on his bedside manner and he's pissed. He'll get over it. He graduates in a month and then he will be someone else's problem." We made it to the restaurant and had a nice celebration. I took Sue back to the hospital and Becky back home to the nanny. I made it back to the university in time for my afternoon classes. The next morning I called the hospital. They are not a teaching hospital. Sue lied. Still no proof of anything. For the next year and a half, life was great. Sue was always home when I got there, and though I did smell the mouthwash on her breath every now and then, I wrote it off to her having a chili cheese dog at lunch. A couple of months ago, she came home all excited. There was a celebrity on her floor. Tyrone the Beast Williams was in the hospital undergoing some tests. He was a professional football player. He had been an All-American in college then. For the first 3 years, he was All-Pro. I do not follow football, so I was not impressed. I should have been. This is the same Tyrone that Anne said owned the house next door to her on the lake. The house my wife had visited this morning. I get home and find our daughter, who is almost 5 years old now, sitting in front of the television watching a cartoon movie. "Where's Mommy?" "She has a headache and is upstairs in your bedroom." I start thinking. Thursday is what she calls one of her me days. She is off work, and instead of staying home with her baby girl, she goes shopping, has lunch with a couple of her friends from the hospital, then is home by the time I get here at 5 p.m. I need to check something. In my home office, I pull up my diary. There it is. Every Thursday for the past 7 Thursdays, she has come home with a headache or some other excuse for why we cannot make love. Usually it is Saturday, or on a couple of occasions it was Sunday before we made love. I feel stupid. I should have picked up on that. But now that I know, I may be able to get that irrefutable proof that my attorney said I would need. I knocked on the bathroom door and asked if she was all right or needed anything. She said no, that she just needed to relax and see if her headache would go away. She asked me to take care of Becky tonight. I agreed and went back downstairs. The nanny had left supper for us, so I fed the baby and then got her bathed and in bed. I killed time on the internet finding out all I could about Tyrone Williams. At around 11 p.m., I showered and went in and got in bed next to Sue. I knew she was awake, but she was pretending to sleep. I let her continue pretending. The next morning, she was up early and off to work. I got a kiss and was told to have a good day. I had a plan. I went to the university and asked my grad assistant to take my morning class. He was happy to do it. Then I lied and asked to borrow his car. I drove up to the lake. I parked down the street from the house I wanted to check out. It was locked up tight. There were shades on all the windows, and it looked like there were drapes behind the shades. No way was I going to get a photo of what I know is going on inside every Thursday. I need another plan. I could wait until they are inside, then kick in the front door and start taking pictures. Yeah, that will work. Not. Tyrone is a violent man existing in a violent world. I am 5'10" and weigh maybe 180. I have never been in a fight in my life. This guy could kill me and he would not go to jail. I would be the one charged with home invasion if I lived. I walked back to the car. I thought I saw someone peeking out the window of the house next door. but I could be wrong. On the drive back, I started remembering everything I had read about Tyrone last night. He is married, maybe I could solicit help from her. Back at the school, I got a call from Sue. She was going to work a double, meaning she would be home around midnight and, you guessed it, too tired to make love. After I had the baby in bed, I did a deep dive into Tyrone's wife. She has a huge social media presence, lots of pictures of her and Tyrone. This girl is beautiful. Long red hair, green eyes, and a body to die for. She was a cheerleader in high school, then again at the university where Tyrone played. That's where they married 5 years ago. They have no children. As I read through some of her social media posts, I wondered what the hell this girl majored in college. Bitches, don't be looking at my man. Fuck no, I ain't sharing his banana, so just forget about it. She talked like she was raised in a ghetto. She had probably used that hair, her body, and probably that mouth to get herself through college. On Monday, I again borrow my grad assistant's car and drive over to Tyrone's house. Nothing. Neither she nor Tyrone left the house before I had to get back for my afternoon class. Another idea forms in my mind. It is now Thursday, and I am again sitting in front of Tyrone's house. I see him leave for the lake. I give him a couple of minutes, then I start to get out of the car. Shit. She comes flying out of the driveway. I run back to the car and decided to follow her. She does not go far when she pulls into a Starbucks. I give her a minute, then follow her in. She is sitting at a table drinking her $10 cup of coffee with ice cream in it. I do not order, just walk over to her table. She looks up and exactly like I suspected and says, "Who the fuck are you?" "The man whose wife your husband is with right now." She motions me to sit. I notice she is wearing the longest fake nails I have ever seen. She just looks at me, so I start the conversation. Every Thursday for the past 2 months, they meet up at the lake. She is a nurse, and they met when he was in the hospital. Blonde woman with large breasts? I started to say, that is her, but I refused to sink to her level. I saw the way he looked at her one night. Every Thursday? She asked. Yes, I replied. He tells me he is going to a team meeting every Thursday. You say they up there right now? Yes, and they will be until about 3 p.m., I replied. I'm going to surprise their asses, she answered. Bambi, I need proof for my divorce lawyer. Could you get me a photo? I get you more than a photo. I'll get you a video. She stormed out the door. I thought that went well. Bambi will find them in bed, probably shoot a video on her phone, then being Bambi, she'll probably send it to all her friends. It'll end up on ESPN. I'll have my proof and be rid of my cheating wife. I went back to school and had lunch in the cafeteria. About halfway through my afternoon class, there was a knock on the door. My grad assistant answered it and then motioned me over. There was the dean of the School of Business and 2 men. They asked me to step outside. 2 police detectives. The grad assistant said he would finish the class, and I walked them down the hall to my office. You are Dr. Jones? Dr. Nevada Jones? Asked one of the men. Yes. I'm Sergeant Detective Joe Friday. This is my partner, Henry Morgan. What kind of name is Nevada? Were you born out west? No, and I use the English pronunciation, Nevada. I was born during a snowstorm. Detective Morgan nodded his head. He had no clue. We entered my office and I offered them a seat. Joe Friday spoke up. Sorry, Dr. Jones, there is no easy way to say this. Your wife was murdered this morning. Oh my God, has there been another mall shooting? Why would you think that? They asked. It's her day off, her ME day as she calls it. She told me she was going to the mall and after shopping she would have lunch with her friends from the hospital. She was not at the mall. She was at a house up at the lake. We think she was involved with Tyrone Williams. Do you know him? He was a patient at the hospital where Sue works a couple of months back. I never met him. His wife caught them in bed together. She killed them both. What? How? I asked. Shotgun blast to your wife's face damn near blew her head completely off. Friday looks at his partner. "But why?" I asked. Again, Morgan speaks up. "I imagine it had something to do with the size of his banana. I've seen horses that did not have bananas that big." "Henry, wait in the hall." Detective Morgan starts for the door and then turns as if he forgot to say something. "Sorry for your loss." I just nod as he leaves. "I'm sorry about that. He's new. It looks like Tyrone's wife, Bambi, came into the room with a shotgun. She shot your wife first, then turned the gun on Tyrone. He moved pretty quickly, and she hit him in the leg. He made it to his .45 pistol he always carried. He has a concealed carry permit and managed to get 2 shots off before she could reload that double barrel. She died instantly. Tyrone lived long enough to call 911, but he died from loss of blood before the ambulance could get there. You had no idea about the affair?" "None at all," I replied. "Okay, stick to that story." He then hands me his card. "On the back is the number to the morgue. There will be an autopsy, but the body should be available by Monday. I am sorry about all this, but sometimes good things come out of bad things." He turns and walks out the door. Anne rushes in and locks the door behind her. "Get that smile off your face. Uncle Joe knows the truth and that you just lied. He found a receipt from Starbucks in her car and he checked the cameras. He saw you talking to Bambi this morning. But don't worry about him. The same thing happened to him some years ago with his first wife. Now you have to play the grieving husband who just lost his wife. You need to get home and take care of your daughter. Give me that card with the morgue's number. I handle getting her body to a funeral home. Cremation okay with you?" I noted yes. "Go into your bathroom and throw some water on your face. Don't dry it off. You need to look upset." I handed her the card and went into the bathroom. As I stared at my wet face in the mirror, I did start to cry. I did not want Sue dead. She is Becky's mother. I just wanted a divorce from her cheating ass. What is going to happen now? I lied to the police. Then it hit me. "Uncle Joe?" I rushed back into my office. "Uncle Joe?" I asked. "My mother's brother. My dad was his partner until he retired last year. Don't worry about him. I'll talk to him. He will understand." I grab my briefcase and walk out into the hall. Before I can get out into the parking lot, a couple of my bosses come up and offer their condolences. I thank them, then drive home. There is no easy way to tell a child their mother has been killed. Under these circumstances, I decided to tell her that a very bad person killed her mother. Nothing more. She cried and I held her. I cried also. Not for Sue, for Becky. I hated to see her so upset. I finally got her to sleep. Then I took a shower and lay down to try and figure this all out. Anne had taken charge of the situation and I had let her. Why? I guess I was too upset and not thinking straight. Sometime after midnight, Becky came into my room and got in bed with me. I held her as she cried herself to sleep. The next morning, I was up early and in the kitchen making pancakes, Becky's favorite breakfast, when the doorbell rang. There was Anne and this beautiful girl, her partner, I imagine, standing there. Looking past them, I see Sue's car in the driveway. Uncle Joe gave me the keys, so I thought we would drive down this morning and bring it to you. How is Becky? About as well as can be expected, I said as they walked past me into the house. I smell pancakes, shouted the partner. And this must be Becky. This girl squats down and introduces herself. My name is Donna. That lady over there is Anne. We are friends of your daddy. Becky starts to tear up. Somebody killed my mama. Now she is crying. This Donna stands up and then picks Becky up in her arms. I know, baby, I know. She carries her down the hall, patting her on her back and whispering into her ear. Donna is good with kids. She'll take care of her. Let's finish those pancakes. We did not eat breakfast this morning and I'm starved. As I worked the grill, Anne set the table and told me how Uncle Joe had already closed the case. She said he advised me not to talk to the press, and if anyone asked, I was to stick to my story of not knowing anything about the affair. Donna and Becky came back into the kitchen. Donna had changed Becky out of her pajamas and into a cute outfit. As Becky ate her pancakes, she explained how Donna and she were going to look through all the pictures of her mama and pick out the ones for her funeral. I looked at Donna. She winked at me. Then we are going shopping for a new dress for the funeral. I have to look pretty for mama. Again, a wink. I told you she is good with kids. That's what we did. For the next couple of hours, Donna and Becky looked through every photo we had of Sue. They selected one that was just a headshot of Sue. She told Becky they would get that one enlarged and sit by the urn with her mama's ashes. Then they selected 5 more that would be framed and set on the table. They were of happier times. One was when Becky was born, another was of all 3 of us on vacation at the beach. Then there was one with just Sue and Becky. That one was Becky's favorite. By the time they had finished going through all the photos, it was lunchtime. Becky suggested Mickey D's, and we all thought that an excellent idea. The restaurant had a playground, and while Donna and Becky played on the swing set, Ann and I watched out the window. Donna would make a great mother for Becky. Without thinking, I said, "Yes, she would." Then I looked at Ann. I started to apologize. "I didn't mean..." She took my hand. "I don't mind sharing." I guess by now you can figure out how this story ends. Ann took care of the funeral arrangements and Sue was cremated. At the funeral, I gave her ashes to her father, Dr. Hart. I also reminded him that Becky was his only granddaughter and that he could see her whenever he wanted. It was not his fault his daughter was a lying, unfaithful wife, and it had taken me 4 years to finally catch her. Donna was a good mother, not only to Becky, but to our 2 kids also. Ann? Well, Ann stayed for almost 3 years, then she moved on. She still visits every now and then. Our kids, all her Aunt Ann. Donna and her take long lunches sometimes. I don't mind sharing, but only with Ann. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.